This is Mr. Beck Does Your Homework. This is AP Physics Homework 2.3 for equations of motion. This is question 2 and 3. It's a part 1 and 2, so I'm going to do them together. It says, an automobile with an initial speed of 4.47 meters per second. Wait a second, that's a number and some units. I'm going to write down that my initial speed is 4.47 meters per second. Okay, back to the question. An automobile with an initial speed of 4.47 meters per second accelerates uniformly at a rate of 2.9 meters per second squared. Meters per second squared is my units for acceleration, so my acceleration is 2.9 meters per second squared. And I'm going to write that down. The question continues. It says, find the final speed of the car after 5.7 seconds. So what am I looking for? The final speed of the car. So I'm going to write v equals question mark after 5.7 seconds. So I have a time of 5.7 seconds. Now I've got an initial velocity, an acceleration, a final velocity, and time. What I don't have is a displacement. Well, I do have an equation that leaves out displacement. It tells me that my final velocity is my initial velocity plus my acceleration times time. So my final velocity is what I'm looking for, equals my initial velocity of 4.47 meters per second, plus my acceleration is 2.9 meters per second squared, times my time of 5.7 seconds. So that, when I do the math, will give me my final velocity. It's going to be 4.47 plus 2.9 times 5.7. Now you'll see how easy this was. Since I'm identifying my variables as I go, it's a really good skill set to get in, a really good habit to get in, because then you've got your numbers ready to plug into your equation when you have it like you like it. So there's my final velocity. That is part 1 of 2, so that's question 2. Question 3 says, find the displacement of the car after 5.7 seconds. So now I'm looking for my displacement. Now my initial velocity is the same, my acceleration is the same, my time is the same, but now I'm looking for my displacement. So I could, since I have this final velocity, I could use any of several equations to get my displacement, any equation with the displacement in it, which is 3 different equations. But I'm going to solve this without using my final velocity. So I'm going to look at initial velocity, acceleration, time, and displacement, and I'm going to look for the equation without final velocity. I could use any equation I want, but I'm going to use the one without final velocity. So if I look at my equations of motion, the one that doesn't have a final velocity is x equals my initial velocity times time plus 1/2 my acceleration times time squared. So now I can use these numbers and plug them in and say that my displacement is going to be my initial velocity of 4.47 meters per second times my time, which is 5.7 seconds, plus 1/2 of my acceleration, which is 2.9 meters per second squared, times my time of 5.7 meters per second squared. So this, doing this math, now the rest is math, will give me my displacement. I could have used any equation I wanted. Since I had the final velocity, I could have also used that my displacement is 1/2 of my initial velocity plus my final velocity times time, and I better get the same answer here as I get here. And sometimes you might want to do it 2 different ways just to make sure that you're getting numbers that match.